All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, as well as if you are listening the day after the Strickland Podcast Network. Knicks win a absolutely thrilling beginning to Rivals Week in the NBA. 120-117 over the Boston Celtics, best record in the league in overtime. I mean, where do I even start with this game? I mean, start obviously with the first quarter. I mean, first quarter, Knicks looked like they were absolutely going to get ran out the building. Um, and I was ready to like throw on Lost and just enjoy the rest of my night. But the Knicks, they made this a game. No thanks to Julius Randle, who came out with 14 points in the first quarter. He really set the tone offensively. And yeah, he just did his thing. He was dominating, especially in the paint, dunking on guys and stuff, hitting his threes. So, he was doing his thing. And then what further helped the Knicks was a revival of the bench unit, shades of last year's bench IQ coming in 15 points off the bench in the first half. Obi giving you some great minutes. Um, yeah, I mean, Hartenstein even provided some good minutes today. I mean, it was just a lot of what you want to see, what you envision this team can be at its peak, or at some of these players' peaks, um, as this game was going on. But yeah, I mean, Quickly had a good game. Obi had a good game. Deuce gave you some great energy on defense. He couldn't hit a shot, but I mean, he was able to, get some deflections, cause some disturbances on defense. He had a nice aggressive take, I believe, late in the third or early in the fourth quarter, I believe it was, to draw some free throws. So that was encouraging to see. Um, but yeah, I mean, really a great game. The Knicks, they did end up blowing a lead in the fourth quarter, as is tradition here at in with this Knicks team. Um, but they were able to hold their poise, which I'm like proud of them for being able to do. They didn't let that rattle them, because I mean they've experienced it so many times this year already, so they should be used to what happens after they blow a lead. But they were able to win in overtime thanks to Jalen Brown, absolutely wetting himself at the free throw line. Um, but yeah, Tyrese,
I
this is
can't believe we
your
live. I can't believe we live in a world where R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle hit big free throws and Jalen Brown just sold too.
He played for us.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when I saw Randall going to the free throw line late in overtime, I was like, man, he's
Yeah,
about to like
I thought he
miss
was
at
like
least
one.
one of them. But the fact that he cashed two, I was like, all right, okay.
And
And
then
then
RJ started. RJ
RJ
went up.
RJ hit the big three, and then he hits the free throws. Again, goes back to those clutch time stats I brought up at the beginning of this year. I told y'all, if there's anyone I want taking a shot late in the game, it's RJ. Even if he has it having a shitty night, which he did end up having until the fourth quarter, I would say, and overtime. But yeah, I mean, how did you guys feel about this game?
I'm on a high and I can't come down yet. Um, this may last more than 4 hours. This best win of the season after the last game was the best win of the season. Um, more can you say about the resilience of this team? The team has two All Stars. I don't want to hear anything else about Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden. I don't give a fuck. Like Jalen Brunson is an All Star caliber player, and Julius Randle is flirting with All NBA. So there's your takeaway. I'm building a franchise over Julius Randle. I'm building a franchise with Julius Randle over Jason Tatum. Y'all can retweet that tweet if you want to. I will retweet it myself.
Oh God.
I always have the last laugh. I never lose. But yeah, like just great game overall. Great game for the vibes. This team somehow continues to win in spite of Mitchell Robinson's injury. What more can you say, man? What more can you say? They are a half game back of the 6th seed. It feels like this team is prepping themselves for a run, which is weird given the schedule. And I think a lot of us thought the schedule was like going to be the death knell in this team, if not the death knell of like the place that like really pushes them into the play-in, like But they've won the 2 hardest games of their schedule so far. They have the Nets, who are reeling with no Kevin Durant. The Nets just lost to the Pistons. I don't know, man. We might go streaking soon.
I just want to say about Sam brought up about the end of the game. I think if you want to look positively at it, it's that you can say that it's such a tangible thing that is just such a clear issue. Like, there's no gray area here. The Knicks are awful in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter with a lead every single time. And so at a certain point, a coaching staff, a franchise, they're going to look at that and they're going to fix it. And what's weird about tonight specifically is with like 6:45 left, I think, the Knicks actually ran a set. They ran a set to get RJ Barrett the ball on the wing and then ran off-ball action. The play was for Jalen Brunson, like always down the stretch. But instead of having Jalen do everything, they ran almost like a fake pistol action and then ran Jalen off an off-ball screen to get him a step on his defender. And he ended up getting a wide open mid-range jumper that he nailed to put the Knicks up 12. And I remember looking to my dad and being like, are we going to actually start running plays down the stretch? And then, of course, we didn't. Like, of course, that because it's the Knicks and it's Tibbs. But I found that play really encouraging. And I do think the fact that the issues are so glaring and so consistent, it means there should be hope that, like, okay, like they're going to start working on this and hopefully some things change. Because it's just crazy watching these situations and comparing it to the other team. Like, all 5 Celtics scored in overtime, and like until RJ hit that 3, I'm not even sure another Knick besides Randall or Brunson touched the ball really. Like, I know Grimes had an open 3 and yada yada, but like it's just so different. It's like watching 2 different sports almost. But enough negativity. As Tyree said, this is the high point of the season probably for the Knicks. Unbelievable performance, unbelievable bounce back after, like Sam said, an awfully slow start. That was just, it was 25-10 and I was ready to just mail it. I was just like, oh, this is going to be a laugher. Like the fact that it was 25-10 with, I don't know, halfway through the first quarter or something like that. And the Knicks only end up giving up 110 points in regulation is actually remarkable. And it really shows, we give Tibbs a lot of crap on here, but it was his adjustment and him, getting the team to really focus in on switching these screens and just staying more with it. And they were up and in the Celtics offensive players the rest of the way. And I mean, that's a really good Celtics team. And they made their lives about as difficult as any team can make the Celtics' lives. So, kudos to Tibbs and kudos to the guys for working hard, especially the guys off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, the defensive switch definitely like helped a ton. It was shades of 2021 defense, the way they were defending.
Yep.
And it makes it all that much more frustrating because it's there because we see it now, and then when it's not there, it's really it's frustrating because it's like, okay, we've seen you do it before. Why can't you give this effort consistently? Why can't this happen more frequently? Yeah. And that's what makes those other losses, because almost every loss that we've had has been a close loss. So you're like, you're thinking to yourself in those moments, you're like, man, all the wins that we could possibly have right now, if we just play like how we play in these wins in games like this. So
I do think, I just want to say, I think tonight is a good lesson in how we can sometimes let results dictate our emotions too much, because think about how much different the tone of this post game would be if Jaylen Brown just hits 2 free throws. That's kind of silly from a rational standpoint. And the fact that we're
not rational people.
I agree, but the fact that we're able to like more easily zoom out and be like, man, the Knicks really played well for the middle 38 minutes of that game, you know, from halfway through the first until halfway through the fourth. That was like, you know, except for the Mavs game, probably maybe even better than the Mavs game, their best stretch of the season. But we wouldn't be talking about any of that if Jaylen Brown just hits 2 free throws, which is kind of silly.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's a lesson in not being too results oriented. And maybe that works this way. You know, maybe even though we won, we're supposed to talk a little bit more about, hey, why did the Knicks blow a 12-point lead? You know, why
don't care. Don't care.
Well, we don't have to talk about it because everyone knows. Everyone saw the game.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows the Knicks' tendencies at this point. Like you can literally like, I don't know. I literally typed out. I was like, I've seen this movie too many times from the Knicks. I've seen this movie way too many times from the Knicks. Like you literally know as soon as like a certain time frame hits in the fourth quarter, like, oh, all right, here we go. You're just preparing for like the other team to come back, so that way you can say, all right, well now let's see how the Knicks handle this. Because like the Knicks, they've shown now they can either handle it bad way or they can handle it a good way. They can remain with poise and, you know, push through it and eke out a win like they did today, or they can fold like we've seen them do plenty of times this year. So
yeah, no, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, who do we want to like highlight today? You know, I mean, last post game we highlighted Emmanuel Quickly, who came out today, and you know,
let's do it again.
It made our praises even that much more, you know, relevant.
Highlight him again. Let's go.
He's right now the third best player on the Knicks, and it's not close. With Mitch out, he's the third best player on the Knicks, and we need to start having a serious conversation about what coming off the bench is doing, because he played 12 less minutes than Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett tonight. RJ hit the game,
and he had much better games than all of them.
Yeah,
he single-handedly turned the game around in the second quarter.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I understand the logic behind, well, Quickly needs to be playing with the bench unit because he's the best initiator, yada yada. But if his impact is going to be so much higher than those two, I'm not sure the fit part of it matters if he's going to be playing regularly 10 plus minutes less a game. That hurts the Knicks. Like, him not being on the court hurts the Knicks, as we've seen the entire season. He was amazing tonight. Struggled a little bit down the stretch with, you know, the size of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that's what Tibbs was thinking when he got RJ Barrett back in. Don't necessarily agree with the decision, but hey, it worked out. RJ hit the shot of the night, so
yeah.
True.
We'll take it.
True. One thing I did tweet in relation to IQ is that I don't think IQ played at all in the third quarter.
No way. That can't be right.
I will double check. But
either he barely played or he came in like towards like the end of the
him and Hartenstein came in at like the 2-minute mark.
Yeah.
So it felt like basically he didn't play the whole fourth quarter, and the whole third quarter, and I basically tweeted out like he's gonna like probably try to like run IQ for like 12 straight minutes in the fourth quarter, which he almost did, but he didn't. But yeah, I mean,
and that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Is like if Tibbs isn't gonna make a sub until at least the 4-minute mark, and in the second half it's always later. So let's say it's the 4-minute mark in the first half and the 3-minute mark on average in the second half. That's 17 minutes of the game, of a 48-minute game, that Emmanuel Quickly is just disqualified from playing. So in a 48-minute game, we're telling our third best player, your ceiling is 31 minutes. And then to get to that ceiling, he has to play a 16-minute shift and then a 15-minute shift in the second half. That's just, it's not sustainable, and it's just not good rotating.
It's also not good for building rhythm.
Right. Exactly.
It's not sustainable, and somehow he's making it work. This is the crazy thing. The fact that Thompson was actively sabotaging his rotations in minutes, and he's somehow still one of the most positive players in the NBA, just kind of speaks to how good Quickly is. Now imagine if he's getting regular shifts.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Random non-Knicks related question, but I feel like one of you is going to know. Did Luka get hurt tonight?
Yes, he did.
It said that he left the game with a leg injury. He went to the locker
Everything is
room.
coming up Millhouse.
Everything everything is coming up Millhouse. The Knicks pick is starting to look juicy.
It's already 16, dude. Like, if Luka misses 2 weeks.
But yeah. I mean, so far so good with this stretch. This stretch of the schedule. We do got the Nets coming up on. Wait, it's the Nets on Saturday, right?
Saturday, Rivals Week.
Oh boy. All right. Let's see how that goes. I mean,
don't care.
I am trying to remain positive because the Knicks just pulled out 2 wins versus top teams in the East, but the Nets, they just have some type of like voodoo on them against us that like they just all like no matter what, they somehow eke out wins against us. Like there was that one weird game, like I think it was last year, where James Johnson ended up hitting game-winning free throws versus us. Like, what the hell was that? Like shit just doesn't make sense when we play the Nets. So like I'm always cautious when we play versus them.
I'm just not sure it really matters. Like the Knicks have already won 2 games that they weren't expected to win, unless they just take a huge dump on the court. I think we can be pretty happy with this week as Knicks fans.
Also, Julius Randle's going to win Player of the Week, so enjoy that.
Man, is he really?
I mean, dude, he's averaging like 30.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like a massive triple. This could be like a massive double too. Like he's if they go 3-1, like he probably wins it.
Yeah. Let's go.
About time. Also, everything came up Millhouse today, man. The Chicago lost to the fucking Hornets. Like, what a great day. Today was great.
All right. Let's get to everyone's favorite part of these shows before we get to comments. Where is it? There we go. All right. 4 NFL teams, 2 conference championship games, and only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Not a new customer? You can feel the conference championship thrills with stepped-up same-game parlays. Take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TBPN. New customers can bet just $5 on the conference championships and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, let's get to some comments. So Chris Bernhardt, he was in here, I guess, during the game. Shout out to him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He said that Tatum, 2 minutes in and Tatum is giving Grimes the work. This should be good. To that point, I will say kudos to Grimes in the second half. He did his defensive intensity did shift. He was way more into Grimes. As the team, I mean, not into Grimes, into Tatum, as the team was more into the Celtics players. But yeah, I thought he did a much better job in the second half of defending Tatum and just defending in general. But yeah,
he's got really quick and sneaky hands when a guy gets past him. He had a couple strips where Tatum definitely thought he had like a clear path to the rack, and Grimes kind of snuck his hand in from behind. Yeah, I mean, Grimes has been weird lately. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's first of all, it's frustrating when he can't knock down shots because like that's what he's got to do. He's got to shoot with confidence, and you can tell his confidence is kind of waning. And then he definitely hasn't been as just like elite defensively as he was, those first 10 games in the starting lineup where like anytime Grimes was beat, it was like, whoa, what just happened? Like now it's kind of happening more regularly. And I know the competition is getting a little tougher. But at the same time, like, what are we doing here? He's barely 22 years old and it's his second year. Slip up should be expected. Like we should be allowing him growing pains. So it's good to see him, get these minutes, get these opportunities against elite players like Jason Tatum. It's really good to see him friggin', like you just said, Sam, step up to the plate and hold his own more often than not. So, I think we should be very, very encouraged with Grimes. And I'll let Tyrese take it from there.
I just need him to start pulling these shots. Like there was like one play where like I think he gets it. It might have been like a transition opportunity. He gets it wide open on the break, and he just passes it back to Brunson, who's like he's like in the mid range, and he's like almost being swarmed to the ball, and it's like, dude, take the shot. I just need him to take the shots. Like he's not taking the shots that I think he should be taking. And unfortunately, he's not been as good of a shooter as he realistically should be for this team. Again, he's still young. These are the growing pains that comes with being an NBA player, especially a starter. But I think at some point, I do think that ultimately the best iteration of this team has Quentin Grimes being like that guy who's taking and making a bunch of threes and getting them off with a quick trigger. And I just kind of feel like maybe he's thinking about it a little bit. And I think he's trying to get those paint touches because, the team needs them. But I just need him to embrace being a sniper, being a shooter. I think this talks about like the bigger part where like we want everybody to expand their roles, but like to expand your role, first you need to be able to be good in your role. And Quentin Grimes, like defensively, I think he's been great. Offensively, he still needs to take that leap. And once he takes the leap into being not just a decent shooter, but a great shooter, then I feel like he can look to expand his role. But he's definitely been struggling offensively, at least defensively. I think he's been fine, and I expect him to turn it around. I feel like maybe next game he has like 4 or 5 threes, and it's gonna feel like a big relief. But yeah, just keep sticking with it. Obviously, he's a positive on the court. He helps out more than he hurts, and it's good to see him get those stops in the second half and win on the back of his defense.
I thought, I know this isn't related to the comment, but I thought of it when Tyrese said, need him to start pulling and need him to start shooting. A really random moment in the game that like got me excited in the game was early in the second quarter, RJ made the pistol drive going left at around the free throw line, and he made a one-handed pass to Deuce in the corner, and Deuce shot without hesitation, and Deuce missed. But it was nice to see both RJ make the simple read, and it was nice to see Deuce with confidence. I thought tonight was another step forward for Deuce. We hadn't said his name yet, so I just wanted to give him that little shout out, even though he missed. I think overall he's sort of getting his feet more and more wet into the game, and he's just growing more and more comfortable, and I think he's being rewarded for it. I mean, we've seen him play as few as 6 minutes in a game. He went over 3 tonight. He played 13 minutes. To me, that's a step forward because it means Jalen Brunson, if overtime didn't exist, Jalen Brunson only would have played 35 minutes. That's a great minutes distribution as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the minutes distribution was really much better today. Much better. Which makes you frustrated when it's like guys are playing like 40 minutes and the bench guys off the bench are playing like 8 minutes apiece except for IQ.
Right.
So yeah. Let's see what other comments we got here. Chris Bernhardt also said during the game, I know it's mad early to complain, but that defensive rotation on the Brown 3 was nasty. JB and RJ covering one guy. Sim drops to cover White, and Brown is opening a business with how wide open he was. Yeah, I think that was like just a miscommunication there due to because I think they were still not switching at that point. So they still were confused on who was going to cover who. There was also a lot of plays where guys were gambling and then just left guys like scrambling as well. There was a play where Grimes had gambled on a steal and then it left the rest of the defense in flux. So yeah. But I mean they cleaned it up as we saw. The rest of the game the defense was pretty sharp. So yeah. And Jeff, to your point, yeah, Luka left with an ankle injury. He's not coming back.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Chris, is that first First of all, Sam, that means Frank gets to play. So let's go, Frank.
Millhouse.
Second, everything's coming up Millhouse. Second of all, to respond to Chris's question or to add to what Sam said, it's just the nature of the beast when you're watching Tibbs, because anytime any opposing player gains an advantage, you're going to see the big who's responsible for the man in the corner hedge down and dig down and help. That's what Tibbs asks of him. So, like, there was an especially gross one where Sims dug down and helped, perhaps unnecessarily, and Derek White had all day and hit a corner three. And it was just like, you can't really blame Sims, and I'm not even sure you can blame Tibbs, because his rigidity and his loyalty to his scheme is frustrating. But, like, it's also a defensive scheme that has always had his teams in the top 10. So, like, I don't know. I get where you're coming from, Chris, and I get the frustration, but I'm just not sure where to aim that frustration, because from a macro standpoint, the defense was excellent tonight. So what you're going to get if you change your whole strategy so that those mistakes that you're pointing out are fixed, you're going to get other mistakes that maybe look more glaring. Like, you're going to get more easy paths to the basket, more just like, why the hell isn't anyone there at the hoop, or why are they just getting dunk after dunk? And on the whole, they'd probably be worse. I think if there's one thing we can trust Tom Thibodeau to do, it's scheme a defense. And this isn't to say you're wrong, or this isn't to say that Tibbs shouldn't be a little bit more flexible and throw in some different looks. But I'm just pointing out that, like, this is a good defense, and this was a really good defensive performance tonight. So maybe not the night to be like, oh, there was a couple of defensive possessions that I found gross. I don't know. What do you think, Tyrese?
I think I would just agree with your points. I'm not going to blame too much for defense, because, again, the guy knows how to coach a defense. We can talk about the offense all we want to. We can talk about pace and such, but, like, ultimately he gets people to buy in on defense, aside from the Minnesota years, and that team had its problems all of its own. But, like, the guy can coach defense. I'm not going to be too critical of his defensive acumen, because ultimately when he has the right personnel, the defense is good. The defense is top 10 right now. I think they're still top 10 defensively and offensively. So, like, yeah, I'm not too mad at it. Oh, they dropped to 15th defensively. Jeez.
Really?
Yeah, they dropped to 15th. And the net rating got dropped as well.
That does not sound right to me.
I know it's weird, but the net rating is still top 10. So.
Yeah, you're right. Holy cow!
Jeez.
I bet that goes up after tonight. I don't think this is updated after. Oh no, it is updated. You're right.
It is. Yep.
Wow.
That's strange.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, since it's updated, I have to do our nightly check. Let's see what Emmanuel Quickly's true shooting percentage is up to. Oh, 55.6. You'll love to see it. The agenda is just, it's thriving so hard right now.
He's like 1.01% off like his career high, and he's been shooting dog shit from three. And from the line too for his standards. So
God, he missed another free throw tonight.
I know. God, man.
I think that's what's made it like I think that's what's made his like scoring and like his play overall so encouraging as of late. Is because the three hasn't been falling like it was, especially that rookie year. And the free throws haven't been the same too. So
yeah, that's a really great point, Sam, because we talked about it last post game, and we've talked about it the last few post games actually, about how the best part about Julius Randle's season is the We Here season. He shot 40% from three, and he shot like 50% from mid range. And it was like, you looked at his efficiency numbers, you looked at the true shooting percentage, the effective field goal percentage, and all the smart people were like, he's never going to shoot at those efficiencies ever again in his life. And we as Knicks fans were like indignant. We're like, no, he's going to be at this level forever, because we're, like you said, Sam, we're not rational.
nope,
but I think it's reasonable to say these last two ridiculous shooting performances from Randall's side. I mean, he's shooting like 34% from three right now. it's not crazy to expect Julius Randle to shoot 34% from three. And yet his true shooting percentage is as high as it's ever been. And it's because of the sustainability of where he's shooting from. Well, Emmanuel, quickly to the point you just made, Sam, he's shooting probably as low as he'll ever shoot from three, and he's probably shooting as low as he'll ever shoot from the free throw line. And yet, what did Tyrese just say? This is the highest his efficiency has ever been. Why is that? Because he's shooting from smarter spots, and because he's improved his performance inside the 2-point line. This is definitely the highest his 2-point percentage has ever been in his entire life.
Yeah.
That is sustainable improvement, not just like randomly hitting a bunch of mid-range shots. He's getting to spots and looks way more comfortable from those spots. Like the fact that Jalen Brunson, who legitimately is playing at an all-star level, Jalen Brunson is shooting almost 40% from three, and he's shooting 8% higher than Quickly is from three, and his true shooting percentage is only 1.5% higher. And Jalen Brunson is a 2-point god. Like that should tell you something about.
He hasn't been a 2-point god this year though, which is weird. He's been like at a career low for 2-point percentage, and that's because we don't run any 5-out sets. But like the fact that he's essentially sacrificing his 2-point efficiency for upgraded 3-point efficiency, if he just took more threes, I swear to God, he would be like 60 true shooting. But like, it'll never happen. I've accepted that. But like, he's shooting 40% from three. Jalen Brunson is, and like, yeah, I think the fact that he's basically sacrificing some of his 2-point efficiency and giving it to the rest of the team essentially, like, has given dividends because RJ Barrett shooting a career high from two. Quickly is. Randall's been shooting his career highs at Nick. He's shooting 55% from 2-point range. Like, those are the shots that's going to play. And yeah, like I feel like the shot profile of the team has upgraded dramatically with Jalen Brunson's gravity and Jalen Brunson's just straight up ability. So,
and wouldn't you agree, Tyrese, that I mean, just naturally going from being the second banana to Luka to the primary initiator on a team with bad spacing, upping your usage on a team, like he basically went from X usage on a team with the best spacing in the league and one of the best players in the league to a higher usage, worse spacing, and a worse, better teammate. Like, I feel like regression from an efficiency standpoint is natural.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not even that big of a regression because he's still 57 true shooting. And last year he was 58. So, like, he's sacrificing, one true shooting essentially for a significantly upgraded role. And he's probably going to gain it back in this last couple, the home stretch, because like it's Jalen Brunson. But like, yeah, like this guy, and not to mention like think of all the things he's had to like basically pull up shooting. He's had to like relearn how to pull up shoot. He's had to get used to the fact that he's playing like huge minutes, being the primary ball handler for the first time in his career at a consistent level. So he's essentially learning on the fly, and he's an all-star caliber player learning on the fly. Yep. Imagine year two.
That's really such a good point. We've brought it up, the last few post games. Like, this is not a guy who has grown into, being a star level player or a star level initiator. This is a guy who was basically like a role player. Then the back half of one season became a second banana. And now all of a sudden he's thrust into being arguably the highest usage player on a team that has playoff aspirations. That's not just going to happen overnight. Like that's too much to ask of a 26-year-old. There's going to be progression. It's going to go up. He's going to get better, which should be scary for other people or other teams. He's already playing at an all-star level.
Yeah, think last year, if you watched Jalen Brunson in the playoffs, which I did shamelessly, he did not want to pull up shoot. Like, you look at Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson's whole thing was, I'm going to take one dribble, even if I'm wide open, get to the mid-range spot, pull up from 18 feet. He's confidently taking pull-up jumpers now from three. He took two in the first quarter that basically helped to close that gap, and they were cash. The fact that he's getting comfortable doing that, and now after the fact he's getting to the free throw line a ton, he doubles his free throw output. He's significantly increased his assists while barely increasing his turnovers. He's worth the steal a game. Like we could talk about, the difference between Brunson and Quickly is minimal, but at the same time, Brunson's high-end peak is so massive for this team's outcome. And the fact that, again, he's still learning to do the job and he's this good is a testament to how good he is, how much work he puts in, and how much better he makes this team.
I do want to say, because it's being discussed on Twitter right now, if Tibbs is going to make these defense for offense subs, like I love the fact that he went small with Randall at the 5 when we needed offense, and then Randall immediately got fouled. Like that was an awesome decision by Tibbs. And then he put Sims back in. Sims, when we have a timeout left, Sims needs to come in for Brunson. Like there's no reason for it to not be Quickly and Grimes on the court. I don't care. Like I don't care that Brunson got the game-winning block, which I'm pretty sure came after the buzzer sounded. That needs to be Quickly and Grimes in there defending the other team's best players. Eventually, that's going to get us.
Definitely.
And I get it. I said this. I forget what it was. It was like a month ago. I got it when we didn't have any timeouts, and Tibbs was like, well, I want Brunson out there for the offense, so I'm not going to take him out because I don't have a timeout to get him back in there. Okay. But the Knicks had a timeout tonight. They had a timeout when we were up 2, and he put Sims back in for Quickly, and I just think that's a mistake.
Definitely. Last comment from Chris Bernhard before we get to some other comments. I thought this one was really good. Someone on the coaching staff got to get to RJ during the All-Star break. He's thinking he's got to live up to his contract through scoring, and it's hurting him everywhere else. His defense is unacceptable. I will say today with RJ, his defense was much better in the second half.
Yeah, the second half defense legitimately spurred that run.
Yeah,
Yep.
And it was much closer to the product that we saw the beginning of last season, especially like when we saw, RJ's defensive highlight early last season was, that clutch play on that clutch defense on DeMar DeRozan. So it was shades of that type of defense. And again, goes back to my earlier point about like with the team and like their defense as a whole, even with RJ, when he shows this type of defensive intensity, it's like, hey, why can't you bring this to the table more often? Because we know it's there. We've seen it. Now let's do it more often. So that way, we can spare ourselves some of these, offensive performances by other opposing players. But yeah, I thought his defense was much better in the second half. I thought a lot of the shots that he was taking, even though they were easy looks, I thought, maybe let's just pass it out because you just don't have it right now. And get someone else, the ball who has it rolling, whether it be Quick, whether it be JB, whether it be Randall. So those are my takeaways from RJ today. But I'm glad that he was able to, hit the clutch shot. I always trust him in those moments, but yeah.
What, in my opinion, from like a film perspective, what I've noticed is him and Quickly have really tried to learn from Jalen Brunson. And the difference between Quickly and RJ is RJ still doesn't have great touch from floater range. And that's maybe being generous. I do think he's improved, but it's still not great. And so Quickly can hold a defender on his back and be methodical as he inches his way into the paint, because eventually it's going to draw help, because you can't give Quickly a path to the basket. He's too efficient now within 5 feet. RJ is much better going fast because his athleticism and size is something that Quickly doesn't have. And so if you notice, when he gets downhill, that's when he attracts that help. When he puts a defender on his back, the way Brunson and the way Quickly do, it kind of gives the defense a chance to set itself, because they don't really respect RJ inside the paint when it kind of slows down. And so that leads to those stagnant possessions where RJ's holding the guy on his back, looking for something to open up. And then he's like, well, fuck it, I'm here. I'm just going to take a shot because I've got no one to pass to. RJ's best passes come when he's decisive and moving towards the basket, creating an advantage with his size and athleticism. And until he improves from floater range and becomes at least until that becomes like a plus shot, I think he should be more decisive going downhill and use that to his advantage, because I don't think the Brunson methodicalness is for him right now.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, like, there was a pass, I believe, in the second quarter where, like, RJ penetrates, gets the defense tilted, one-handed to, like, Deuce in the corner, and Deuce takes the shot and he misses it. But, like, that's an example of how when he's decisive, he's able to his passing is just like he can pass, dude. Like the guy can pass. He can make every pass in the book. He's not gonna be Luka or LaMelo with it, but like his passes are very functional and they're efficient. He just doesn't do it as much as you realistically should. Like, and it makes no sense given the fact that he creates so many advantages. Like his advantages created in the paint, probably like top 10 in the league. Like I can't think of 10 better dudes in the league who can get to the paint as much as RJ Barrett can, and the way he can do it. And the fact he collapses defenses so heavily and he just does not pass the way he should pass, like he could legitimately be like 17-5-5. Like that's how good he can be. But the floater is still like not respected. The finishing around the basket is still leaves a lot to be desired. And I feel like if he committed himself to just being a ball mover and passer, like he would be so much more functional, and he would honestly just be a better player, a more valuable player.
But that's why the ceiling is still the highest for him of anyone on the team. Like, I don't care how down you want to be on RJ. The fact that he's already collapsing defenses the way he does at his age, like, I think it's reasonable to say that it's not unrealistic for him to just get better around the rim. Like, that's a thing you can get better at. It's not unrealistic for somebody to sit him down, show him film, and just be like, dude, you're getting to these spots and all the eyes are on you. Look here, here, or here. Like that comes with experience, that comes with reps, it comes with maturing. And you take away, 1 to 2 of those forces in the paint and turn it into a kick out. Okay, all of a sudden his efficiency is going to rise and his assists are going to rise. And yeah, he's going to have some turnovers. But like you just said, Tyrese, he's going to be a much more valuable player once he starts making those decisions. And then you combine it with just him getting better at the rim. Oh my God, that's a full step forward, like that's
an
offensive player.
Like he can legitimately touch, I don't want to say 60, but like I think high 50s true shooting. He's already there. Like if he just committed himself to just being like that kind of player, he's already at like 54 true shooting, and the floor is the roof, like there's just so much fruit you can grab. And I feel like when he does do it, I don't know if it'll be on this team or not, but you can clearly see like there's a high end level of RJ Barrett where like he's like touching 25 and 5.
Yeah, I do think though that his ceiling is going to be determined by how he's used. And you got mad at me when I said this a few games ago, Tyrese. I do think him being a play finisher rather than a play starter hurts his development in that standpoint. I think that him going 3 to 4 minutes between touches sometimes hurts his development from that standpoint, because all of a sudden he hasn't touched the ball in 4 minutes. Mentally, he gets the ball, he's going to be looking to score more, like it's not as intuitive for him to look for teammates because who knows when he's going to touch the ball next. So I'm not, I understand that this team is going to go as Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson go, but I think a middle ground exists where RJ can get a more prominent role from a profile standpoint in the offense.
Celtics coach is hilarious.
I love you, Jalen.
That quote is hilarious. So they asked him, they said, what do you say to Jalen after missing the 2 free throws to lose the game? Joe Mazzulla says, I love you, Jalen. And the reporter says, okay, what else? I love you, Jalen, and I believe in you.
Like that's like the quote
what?
Version, that's the quote version of like Steve Nash hugging Kevin Durant after like Durant went off for like 51 in the conference finals, semifinals 2 years ago. That's legitimately him just like hugging on Jalen Brown. Like
imagine Dibs saying some shit like that to New York reporters. Like what? Like how do you even take a coach seriously? Like
Berman would come out of retirement. Berman would come out of retirement just for an expose. Like oh my God.
Ricky Ricardo says best road Knicks win since I would say Denver this year.
Yeah.
That was a great win.
Should be Dallas.
I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not talk about Dallas.
It's either Denver or Utah, because the thing that the Utah win had at the time is Utah was like, I know they've kind of come back to earth, but at the time they were playing really well. And when you compare that to the fact that Denver didn't have Jokic, I don't know. I'm not saying it's definitely Utah, but I think Utah's up there with Denver. So one of those two.
Thing is though, like the last Denver win happened was like when I was like 6. So like,
That's
Yeah,
a
the
good
last
point.
Denver win was with like Jamal Crawford and them.
yeah, it was at the Jamal Crawford weird ass game winner where like they turn it over at half court, they get it back, and then he just puts up a 3 that clanks. So like, yeah, I think the Denver one just in terms of like breaking that streak.
Also, it had like a really intense ending.
Yeah,
Like we had like Julius diving on the floor, Jalen
Jalen
Brunson
Brunson
getting a
dunking.
dunk. You had
And,
Emmanuel
and
Quickly's clutch defense on Jamal Murray. You had
yeah.
Sims playing great defense on a switch against Jamal Murray as well in the end of that game.
Michael
Like just
Porter
a
Jr.
lot of
stinker,
great stuff happened.
and Michael
I mean,
Porter Jr. had a stinker. So like,
yeah, I know Nikola Jokic wasn't playing, and like that may like ruin some of the luster for some people. Not for me though. I freaking enjoyed that win. Um, and yeah, like Terry said, the streak as well.
oh man, what a win, man.
I would also say probably the other Toronto, the
Oh
Toronto
yeah,
win.
good point.
No, 'cause
In Toronto,
that game took a
the
it was over.
only game we beat Toronto this year so far. And our first win in Toronto since what, 2015? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we've been like I know it doesn't seem this way because you kind of forget because every game is a freaking roller coaster, but the Knicks have been better on the road this year than at home. They're 15-10 on the road and 12-13 at home. So like I don't know, like maybe they just come together on these road trips.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened with the West Coast trip to begin the season. So who knows?
All right. Christopher Vieira. Oh, we haven't seen you in the chat for a while. Welcome back. Great win, y'all. Please fire Thomas, though. That late game offense was abysmal as always. If you can even call that offense, and Emmanuel Quickly is the one.
Look, I want Tom Thibodeau fired. He's not getting fired. Like
He's Teflon. After that stretch last year, he's Teflon. Like,
yeah, like, and the team's gonna make the playoffs this year. He's not getting fired.
I mean,
I'm
we
telling
saw
you,
the Ian Begley thing today, where like they were like where first round, even if they get like a first round exit, everyone's safe basically.
yeah, they should be,
Yeah, the bar's in hell.
dude. Yeah, the bar's in hell because this team has been garbage for the last 20 years. If this team,
To be clear, when they say a first round exit, they mean of like the actual playoffs, right? Like a play.
I'd hope so.
Okay.
I'd hope so.
like, I'm sorry, but people were complaining about how the Knicks are being mediocre and they're settling for mediocrity. Dude, I would take mediocrity over what the hell I had to watch the last decade. Okay, like I'm sorry, but if this team makes the playoffs 2 out of 3 years with an all-star, potential another all-star, very good young players on
Well, I
this
mean, we
team.
had a first round exit just a couple years ago. Would you qualify that as a good first round exit? Because like,
Yeah, because they weren't supposed to be there.
I don't know, that first round exit was pretty
Okay,
shitty
yeah, the fact
to a
that they
team
lost
that was full of frauds.
okay, yeah, they lost to the Hawks and it sucks. But at the same time, like dude, they were the 4th seed going into that matchup, and nobody expected them to be the 4th seed.
I just think it's different. I think that year Thibodeau, like he was literally making something out of nothing. Considering firing Tibbs after winning Coach of the Year and like putting together a ragtag team, like winning 40 games in a shortened season with a ragtag unit, getting Julius Randle, like making that contract worth it, etc. This is a different situation though, because I don't think this team should. I don't think we should be judging this team on wins and losses. That shouldn't be the goal with this team. The goal for this team should be to maximize its assets and to set the franchise on a path forward that the next 5 years we're looking at the best possible path forward. And it kind of concerns me if the front office isn't viewing it that way, because I promise you most other smart franchises are viewing it that way. And also, it's really irrational and not intelligent to view your team against the ghost of its franchise's past. Like what the Knicks did in 2007 as a franchise is irrelevant. So just being like, oh, well, the franchise had 8 bad seasons, so I'll just embrace mediocrity. No, this is supposed to be a new front office with a new vision. Everything that happened in the past should be irrelevant. We should be trying to take the best path forward. And if you think that's Tom Thibodeau, then okay, say that's the reason. But just being like, okay, well, we made it to the playoffs, great. That's good enough for me. To me, that's not smart team building.
I think at the same time, though, it's a matter of like you have to acknowledge the past because the past, like you have to acknowledge the past because everybody else is going to acknowledge the past. Like that's just the fact of life being in New York. Like people are going to bring up the law Knicks. People are going to bring up the mediocre seasons. James Dolan's going to be a black cat running around this franchise. I mean, we respect Mr. Dolan in this household, but like, I don't care. Facial recognition is the future.
He's got your face in his crib.
And it too. But like, my whole thing is just like, you have to be cognizant. Like, they broke the Ward curse, they broke the PG curse. They have shifted their rationale from like previous front offices where like they were selling first round picks like candy to where they're hoarding first round picks like candy, and now it seems a bad thing. Like, I'm sorry, but I would take a few years just being like a good playoff team and then making your moves when you know you're able to make that move in time. But like
a good playoff team doesn't lose in the first round.
Okay.
Also with a good playoff team, it's like the process in which, like, even if you are going to be a first round out, it's the process in which you are first round out. If you go out like swinging in like a 7-game series, then I wouldn't be content with it, but like it would be reasonable. But like if you go out in like 5 games to a team like the way the Hawks were structured, like that's pretty disappointing, especially if your players are underperforming too. So it's also about the process in which you're a first round exit. So it's like for them to just come out and say, "Hey, first round exit, we're good." Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think you're probably looking at a case where I think that's probably going to be the case. Like they're gonna make the playoffs. If they give a team hell in the first round, okay. If they somehow can scrape by and win a playoff series, even better. But like ultimately speaking, I feel like this team's going in the right direction. I feel like they're building around their youth, like making the playoffs with this roster, which basically has, aside from their 2 best players, everybody 25 and younger. Like that's a good process. That's basically investing in your talent.
That's all the front office, though. The front office is the one giving the players. It's on the head coach to maximize their path forward. The front office can't just be like, well, we have a roster full of young guys that we provided for you, so it doesn't matter how the coach deploys them. It's just we have these players. Who cares if the Knicks have them if they're not being optimally developed? I'm not saying Tibbs isn't optimally developing them. I'm saying this is how the team should be judged. Yeah. I don't think you've given one compelling reason that Thibodeau should just keep his job if they.
No, I don't think Thibodeau.
Because everything that you're saying has been created by the front office.
No,
I'm not saying that Thibodeau hasn't done a good job. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I want to hear a more compelling reason to keep Thibodeau than
because Tyrese, along with the Ian Begley thing, it was also mentioned like basically Tibbs would be safe in that scenario.
Yeah, I know. I care more about the front office. I think Tibbs. Again, we all know that we think Tibbs should be fired. I'm just saying in general, like I'm talking about the process of the front office more than Tibbs because I think Tibbs. Like I think come from that. Like the front office should like legitimately feel like we're going in the right direction. Now, is Tibbs the right direction? I don't agree, but at the same time, like at this point, you're gonna look at the resume and like the Knicks aren't gonna make a move like that until they feel like it's going to be harmful. Like I'm telling you, Tibbs is probably getting an extension this offseason.
Sadly,
he's getting an extension.
How has it? Man, let's just save this conversation for another time. Let's go, Tibbs. You won at Boston. This was a great win. He's a good coach. I say it every time. I feel like it's like when we were talking about Brunson versus Quickly last postgame. Like it's obvious Tibbs is a good coach. His guys play for him. He knows how to draw up defensive schemes. Any time, and I think Sam will agree with this because me and Sam are usually on the same page here. Anytime we're being overly negative about Tibbs, even when we're like super hyperbolic,
I hate him.
There is an underlying level of respect for like who he is and his intelligence as a coach. Like clearly, what
My
he's
Twitter says otherwise, but
This is
All right,
Sam every
well,
time he hears this. It's great.
for me at least, I don't think I should have to say that every single time. Like, I am skeptical still, even in spite of a great win like this, that, you know, like you were just saying, Tyrese, you were like, oh, well, we've got an average age of like, but you can point to multiple Knicks who are amongst that average age on the lower end, who, in my opinion, Thibodeau has done irreparable damage to, and the front office should judge him on that.
I don't think irreparable.
Obi Toppin?
I don't think that's irreparable. I'm sorry. Like, I think even if Obi Toppin's on another team, I don't think that somehow this season is going to have lasting effects on how he plays out the rest of his career. Because I do feel like ultimately, I think a coach is going to be able to maximize him. And I do feel like even in this bad context, the fact that Obi Toppin basically had to be forced to shoot in order to become a rotation player, like, that's going to build well for his next team because now he's a legitimate shooter.
Dude, that movement three he hit to put the Knicks up 100.
He does not take that. He does not take that to Dayton. Hell, I don't even think he takes.
Oh, the sidestep. That shit was smooth as butter, man.
Yeah, like he does not take that to Dayton, and like that development.
He doesn't take that. He doesn't take that in his rookie year.
Yeah, like he takes it last year when he was like getting 35 minutes a game because Randall was out with quote unquote injury. But like, yeah, like I think Tibbs basically pegging him into the role of you're going to be a screen setter and rebounder and floor spacer, or Giannis, somehow gave him like that shooting development that he desperately needed because that was like his one swing skill coming into the NBA. And I think on his next team, that plus the fact that he's going to be able to get touches as a roller, he's going to be able to get more transition touches, he's going to get better passing around him, is probably going to make him a really good player in his next team.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we've talked about this too long already, so and we talk about this all day. I just don't think Tibbs should be getting credit for misusing a player so badly that he backdoored into. It's not like there's no chance if you gave Tibbs truth serum, he was like, "Yeah, I use Obi this way so that he would develop as a shooter." No, like there's just no way.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I think it's also a matter of like the role that Tom Thibodeau gave Obi basically forced Obi to become a good shooter. Otherwise, he's going to see the court even less than he does now.
Yeah, I mean, remember his year one, like I feel like there was a pretty large contingent of Knicks fans who wanted Knox to just play over him. Like the argument was just like if they're going to be the backup four for 10 minutes and
just want to shoot threes in the corners,
right? Exactly.
Stick Knox out there.
Yep.
I was one of those people that was like, hey, if you're gonna misuse Obi like this, then throw Knox out there and let him like brick threes.
I was saying trade Obi.
Of course you are.
I mean, yeah, but like
Tyrese, we need to do a Strickland 30 for 30 on the origins of your Randall love. Like, were you loving Randall in 2019, 2020?
No, I wanted him traded, but after all NBA, I'm like, okay, this dude's like
literally there was like not a single person in this fan base I think you could find that would like wanted to keep Randall after that first
dude.
year.
I literally had
abysmal.
I had the Joe Biden Minnesota clip every time that Randall had a bad game in 2019-20. Like it was dude, like when they talk about the Hornets wanting to forward, like the guy who's like, "Are you ready to go?" I had those clips lined up for Randall, but like after the bubble season, like I was like, okay, this dude's wildly talented. This team doesn't really have that much like wildly talented players. Like he's an all NBA player. I'm not punting on that after 1 year. I'm sorry. And it turns out you buy the dip and sometimes you come out rich, and Randall coin is to the moon.
Yeah.
It is. Just imagine. Yeah.
To the fucking moon.
Let's get to the next comment. This post game says 3 hours.
JL says blowing leads is way more fun when we win.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the last game that we blew a lead in and won. I mean, I can only remember all the ones that we lost because there've been so damn many. But yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy how often it's the Knicks have a lead and then it's close down the stretch. Like how many times have we seen the Knicks catch a team? from behind. I know last year the meme about the Knicks was, oh, they're the fake comeback team. It hasn't been that at all. The Knicks have a lead in like every game this season.
Yeah. The
The
only
fake
games they
front
have a lead
runner.
in was like the Wizards game.
The fake front runner.
I don't think it's fake though.
I mean,
I
is it
think
fake
they're
if they're
just a really good
40
basketball
up?
team until they're like a kid near like a pinata or something. You know what they're like? They're like Chris Jericho climbing the ladder in a ladder match. You know how like the wrestlers are trained to make it look like they're really close, but they don't grab the title. You know,
Yes.
like that's what the Knicks are like. They're like they think that they have to like extend the match. And it's like just fucking grab the title, man. It's right there.
Oh my god! Or like the dude who like comes to the top of the ladder and then swantons off it for whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been seeing a lot of people complain about Brunson. I just want to bring this up.
Shut the fuck up.
Like a lot of people are complaining like he dribbles so much, he doesn't set up the offense like IQ. I agree with that, but like also like Thibs like once
Right.
Brunson has the ball, like he wants Brunson to isolate and score or just like find an opening to allow someone else to score. Like that's literally what Thibs wants him to do out there. Like when Quickly's out there, he doesn't really trust Quickly to like isolate that often or to like I mean Quickly it does end up isolating more often anyways than he probably should. Just because it's a result of playing in this bland ass offense.
Yep.
But like when players are dribbling so much in this offense, it's literally a design of the offense because it's so whack. Like, how can you not understand that? Like, I just don't understand how people don't watch what they're seeing and correlate what the coach is dictating to the players. And like, I just don't get it.
And
So like when
this
people want to
is
complain about the players, it's like, no, they're following what the coach wants. Like the coach wants these guys to like just do nothing on offense basically and just like figure it out. It's ISO and inshallah at this point. It's like
and this is why, in spite of the win, there should be questions about 53 minutes of Sims and Hardenstein. Because how many possessions that like it's like the Celtics almost didn't want to let the secret out that they knew. They just assumed they'd beat the Knicks anyways. And then in the last 6 minutes of the game, they're like, okay, we'll do it. We'll let the Knicks know that we know. And they just started ignoring Jericho Sims. And Sims didn't make them pay once. Not once. How many times did Jalen Brunson do the snake dribble under the rim and have Jericho Sims just standing there in the corner by himself? So you have Jalen Brunson and Jericho Sims standing next to each other in the corner with 5 Celtics defenders between Jalen Brunson, the basket, and all 3 other Knicks players. The Knicks are effectively playing 4-on-5. And that's okay when it's Mitchell Robinson. Why is it okay when it's Mitchell Robinson? Because he's the best or second best offensive rebounder in the league, and because he's one of the 3 most impactful interior defenders in the league. Jericho Sims is almost a layup line defensively. Like, he's not offering a semblance of the defensive rim protection that Mitchell Robinson is. And he's not impacting the offensive glass nearly as much as Mitchell Robinson is. If those 2 things are true, I don't get how you can watch that and not just play your 5 best players. Play RJ instead of Jericho Sims down the stretch and play Randall at the 5. I promise you it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be fine. The other team wasn't playing that big. And guess what? If Robert Williams destroys you on the offensive glass, if Jason Tatum's getting to the rim at will because you're too small, call a timeout and sub him back in. You're allowed to do that. But
James doesn't know that.
You can't just sit there and watch the team exploit Jericho Sims for 6 straight minutes and just assume it's going to get better. That doesn't make any sense at all. So, like, you can't get mad at Jalen Brunson to Sam's point, when his job is to probe, find somebody, get open, or get a shot for himself, and he's playing 4-on-5. There's nothing to do. There's no play for him to call. He could give it to somebody else, but somebody else would just dribble the air out of the ball and do a worse job at it. So,
and that's why like I was like so confused. Ariel, he tweeted out like when JB gets doubled and trapped, like someone else needs to be out there to like help him with initiating and whatnot. And it was so baffling to me that Thibs didn't have him out there because it's like, all right, they're ignoring Sims and JB's getting trapped. Like, hello. Put IQ out there. Like, what are we doing? Like, I thought this was obvious, but it's obviously not. So like
Those doubles can't happen if it's the Knicks' 5 best players out there on the court.
Yeah.
it can't.
They just can't happen because all of a sudden Brunson has 3 outlets. Even Grimes is good at attacking advantages, but he has 3 very clear outlets in Randall, Quickly, and RJ, and then he has 4 guys who can shoot. Those doubles just can't happen.
Oh, so that was an OB game. That was an OB game to the nth degree. Like,
oh, they all are, Tyrese.
Like, you could legitimately run a big lineup with, like, given the fact that they have Horford and Time Lord, like, you could have ran something like IQ or maybe like Brunson, IQ, Grimes, Obi, Randall. Or if you wanted to put like Randall at the 3, Obi at the 4, and then like run a big lineup like with Hartenstein. Like, there were I don't know why Hartenstein didn't play the stretch down there.
I gotta be honest, I'm not about that. I see people calling for it all the time. I don't think Obi has the foot speed to play the 3. I think
Randall does.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, Randall.
That's actually a really interesting point because Randall crushes on switches.
Yeah, like you put Randall basically guarding like smaller wings. I would trust him with that because he can guard 1 to 4 realistically on a switch. And you put basically Obi just like you could hide Obi on like their stretch 4 or whatever, and then you put Hartenstein as your rim protector, and you have a bunch of cutting with Hartenstein and IQ and Obi. You have your release 3-point shooter for Grimes, and you basically have Randall in a situation where he can like 1-4 flat, and you can't clock the paint against that. So it's a really good lineup. I would like to see it try, but I don't think you're going to try it because of this coach. So.
Yep.
All right.
Oh my God. All right. Are you guys ready for this? Because this is the Sam conspiracy theory of a lifetime. That asshole, whatever the fuck his first name is, Hauser, who killed us early in the season.
Sam Hauser.
Sam
Last
Hauser.
game, he played 26 minutes against the Heat and was 0 for 6. Why does he just decide to make everything against the Knicks? I'm just sick. I'm sick of these guys coming out of the woodworks and just making every single shot against only the Knicks. It's infuriating.
He had 2 threes.
I mean, whatever. That's too many. He played 3 times as many minutes against the Heat and went 0 for 6. Like, played 8 minutes against the Knicks and he just nails them. And they always are like the most annoyingly timed threes. I'm just sick of it. Go away.
It's always the Knicks. It's always the Knicks.
Go back to your dad's car company and run that, like.
All right. Christopher Vieira with a couple comments here. He says, "Gotta show love to IQ's improvement as a 2-point scorer. Not something I thought would happen so soon, but it's been amazing to watch. I truly don't think we know what his ceiling is quite yet, and we may never know with the way the coach utilizes him."
And just Brunson.
Yeah, Brunson being here does kind of. I mean, also that does, I think that does lend its hand to the coach because I think a coach would find a way to balance, being able to utilize both him and Brunson without Brunson being in too much in his way.
Yep. Yeah, Quickly would play multiple shifts a half. He would play 30 minutes a game. It wouldn't be one 15-minute shift each half. It would just, can't crap on Tibbs too much, but I definitely agree that
I can always
combination of Brunson being here and how Tibbs utilizes him is just going to cap his ceiling while he's a Knick. I mean, it could be a good thing though. Like, I mean, I hear people talking about Quickly signing for 4 for 60. I would love to hear what Tyrese thinks, but I know Tyrese agrees with me that if he does sign 4 for 60, we have the best contract in the NBA. But he's not signing for 4 for 60, right?
I mean, Colin Sexton signed for 4 for 72.
He's so much better than Sexton.
The thing is, like, Colin Sexton was literally putting up 22 PPG and 60 true shooting. Like, that's wild. Like, I think Quickly's high end is maybe $20 million per year. Like, I think at most he gets 480.
Man,
I think he's gonna probably get close. I think he's probably closer to 460.
I mean, Quickly at 4 for 60, I think would be the best contract in the NBA. I can't think of a better contract.
Mitchell Robinson 4 for 60. I legitimately think he probably gets 4 for 60. Because, like, you have to think about it. Like, how many guards in the league right now is he taking their starting job over? Like, you look at a team like the Rockets, I'm sorry. Like, you're not going to invest in, like, you have Jalen Green there. There's a chance you could scoop Like,
wait, who is the team you just said? I'm sorry.
the Rockets, for example. Like, I think Quickly would be really good on the Rockets, but the problem is they have Jalen Green there, and they have a chance to probably get someone like Scoot.
Why?
So,
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, yeah. Good point.
I think the problem is, like, I don't think there's really a lot of starting jobs out there for Quickly.
Well, I mean, there was that rumor of the Suns, viewing him as a Chris Paul
The problem is
replacement.
the Suns have nowhere to get cap space.
I mean, Chris Paul went to Germany. He must have. All of a sudden, he's just really good again. So
I'm telling you, man.
PED. He's on that Braun PED plan.
he's Braun hooked him up. He sent Braun the text and was like, "Yo, I need your guy."
Also, how the fuck are the Mavs winning this game? Anyway,
Because of Frank.
Spencer fucking Dinwiddie is actually cooking you. God, what a pitiful franchise the Suns have become. But yeah, like, I think Quickly's contract right now is probably going to be like 4 for 70.
Dude,
And that's after incentives.
If he's forced to sign for 4 for 60, he should honestly sue. Like, dude, like, you cost me. I don't know. I feel like he should. I don't know. Obviously,
The problem is, like, if you're Quickly, like, are you going to try to gamble on yourself in free agency? Like, dude, I'm sorry, but you're never getting minutes on this team. You're never, like, your ceiling is capped. Tibbs is going to be your coach. Who's paying for you?
Yeah.
That's my problem. Like, the sample size is going to be too small, and nobody's going to really believe it. And like, I don't see what team is going to pay him a lot of money. Like, I think straight up, you look at him like a Kevin Huerter type, like just an elite role player. But like, Kevin Huerter made 4 for 55, and he took a bit of a bargain. But like, if I'm looking at every salaries right now, I think he gets like maybe high end Buddy Hield money, which is like 4 for 80.
I do agree with you. I will say though, all it takes is one team.
Yeah, I agree, but like, there's so little cap space in the league.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's so little.
If a team is really that desperate to get him, they'll make it work.
Like, I'll give you some names and like their contract. You're gonna be like, what the hell? And Quickly's could probably get lower than that. Like, Terry Rozier is making $96 million. Do you think Quickly's getting that?
No. I guess
Okay.
not. I think he's better than Terry Rozier though.
I agree, but at the same time, like, you look at someone like Marcus Smart got 4 for 77.
I think Smart's better than Quickly right now. So those two contracts just blow my mind. Like, Smart's obviously better than Rozier.
Yeah, like,
Smart's really good.
So yeah, like, I think he get like maybe as much as Marcus Smart, but like, you can't justify that because Marcus Smart's defensive player of the year. So yeah, I think he gets 4 for 60. I think he gets paid, but I think he gets like a 4 for 60 deal. Like, I think he's gonna think himself to get like Anthony Simons contract, but like, who's giving that to him?
Yeah, I guess we should give Tibbs that extension then. Because of his coaching, we're getting Emmanuel Quickly for 4 years, $60 million.
Yeah.
He did it. He did it.
Yeah, dude, man, Obi Toppin's gonna sign for like 3 for 15 or something.
He's gonna sign for a bunch of Kit Kats.
Like, I don't think they extend him, but like, I feel like his extension right now is gonna be like pitiful. Like,
He might just sign for the veterans minimum. That dude is an abuse victim. He'll just take what they give him.
He loves being in New York.
He loves New York, man.
I know, like, going from like New York to Indiana was gonna feel like going from like heaven to hell. Like, oh, poor Obi.
I gotta be honest, as someone who lived in Indiana, I really loved it there. So I was a fan.
Let's see. We got Bad Eyesight. What a name there. RJ was really great on Brown tonight. Tatum kept trying to get the switch on Randall and get RJ off of him. Yeah, I mean, down the stretch, I mean, Tatum really kind of just had his way just blowing by Randall. He got him for a couple fouls too down the stretch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, despite that, the Knicks were still able to pull out a win. So, yeah, Tatum mismatch hunting for Randall, and we still got the W. So shout out to his team for its resilience.
Also, mismatch hunting for Randall is gonna be like the worst way to like set yourself up.
Yep.
I mean, it worked for him.
I mean, like, did it?
He got a foul and he got an and one, I think.
Yeah, but that's like some rough bullshit, to be fair.
True, but it worked. So, like,
I feel like regarding RJ, I really didn't like his defense in the first half. I thought that was really, really discouraging.
It was
I just think
atrocious.
he lets the opposing team. He doesn't make them feel him enough. He's weak around screens, and like that Jaylen Brown go ahead bucket at the end of the fourth was like a very symbolic. Was very symbolic to what I'm talking about. Like RJ had him in the corner, and Brown's path to the basket was almost like he wasn't even there. Like he just, for someone RJ's size, he just needs to be more of a physical presence. I do agree with Bad Eyesight that once RJ got into it, and I think it started when he came back in his second shift in the first half, that through basically the end of the game, I really think he locked in more, and I do agree he did a good job. I just think we need to see more of it, and we need to see it on a more consistent basis. But we know the ceiling's there. We saw him play plus defense for an entire season as a 20-year-old. So, like, it should be there. It's all there for him to take and to provide value to this team. I'm just, we need to see more of it.
Yep.
Jordan Bub. Hey, Jordan. If Thibs starts running actions late in game, such as the example that Jeff pointed out that we did one time, we could be dangerous. And it's sad that we as fans have to expect Thibs to do something that every other coach does in the NBA.
I mean, I want to say every other coach because
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
The Celtics late game offense was literally Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown ISOs.
No, they were running like Spain and stuff. I mean, I agree with you. It was simplistic, but they were at least running stuff.
Yeah, but it was essentially just to get Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum a shot.
Yeah, but there's a difference though.
Those guys are better.
That is one difference.
Fair.
The second thing is, if the ball handler isn't going to capitalize on the action that's happening in front of him, that's the ball handler making a decision that he wants to go ISO. Like the first play call is all the coach can control. So if Jason Tatum has all this action happening in front of him, and don't be mistaken, the Celtics have a lot of stuff that's meant to confuse the defense happening. It's not just a simple ball screen like the Knicks is. If Jason Tatum isn't going to capitalize that and try to leverage the advantage that's being created for him by his teammates, the resulting ISO isn't on the coach. When Julius Randle sets a screen and then goes and plants himself in the middle of the floor, and Jalen Brunson just passes him the ball, that is the initial action that the Knicks are running. That is what Tibbs wants. So I think that's a false equivalence.
I think that's fair. That's fair. Also, funny comment from a Celtics fan. It's Reggie is fucking insufferable. Bro was blatantly rooting for the Knicks all game. Do you know who Reggie Miller is?
Yeah. I feel like all I see is Knicks fans talking about how he hates the Knicks and
Dude, Reggie Miller literally trolls the Knicks every chance he gets. And somehow he was rooting for us, even though he misread the fact that he had Jalen Brunson as all-star team. Like, come on.
I know Sam would win money, but I think that LeBron breaking the all-time scoring record with Reggie Miller calling it would be the worst day of my entire life. Like, I don't think I could do that.
I would watch it on mute.
Sam's like, I'll take it. I'll sign up for that.
I mean, we saw what happened with the Steph thing. I mean, the NBA, they want this to happen in MSG, man.
Dude, he would have to score 70 at one point, dude.
LeBron?
How do you know it's not going to be 70 in MSG? That would be such a storybook, thing to happen.
How many points back is he right now, Terry? He's like 148, right?
Yeah, let me check.
He had like 20 last night. I was like, yo, what the hell? I looked at the box score this morning. I was like, what the hell, LeBron? Like, you're supposed to be dropping 40 every night.
Dude, I will say, though, there was like a peak LeBron stretch to start the fourth that was just crazy, man. Like, I just can't believe he can still do stuff. I know it was against the Spurs, but like they went on a 12-0 run in like 50 seconds where he was in the middle of every defensive possession and set up like 4 straight threes for teammates. And it's just like, God, I can't believe there's people who just refuse to let themselves appreciate watching this guy. He's unbelievable.
Okay, he's 158 points away.
All right, so he's got 3 games.
Let me just check real quick. I think he has 4.
If it's 4, he's live. I think it's 3 though.
No, it's Lakers, Nets, and then Knicks. So yeah, he would have to basically score like he would. Yeah, we play them next week.
So you mean it's Celtics, Nets, Knicks, right?
Yes. Because I
Okay.
played the Spurs yesterday.
So he needs to have any and you said he's 148.
He won 58.
Oh my god! So
So
he's got to average 53 points a game the next
My
3
bet
games.
yeah,
is cooked unless like he goes for like 80 versus the Knicks, which is
yeah. I'm
totally in
telling
the
you,
realm
like,
of
unless he has to
possibility.
drop 70 at one point to at least make it manageable.
Yeah.
Unless he drops like 50 a game, which I doubt against the
And all
Celtics.
he's got to do is score 60 against the Celtics. You know, it's happened before.
I mean,
No,
like, yeah. Dude, I want to put it past him, man. Like, it's LeBron.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't realize how many damn comments we had tonight. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, y'all are killing it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get through. A couple more. We got a whole lot. Ricky Ricardo says, these Knicks versus Celtics games are just insane, bro. Like, seriously, I don't know if I want a playoff series between those two teams for my blood pressure. Yeah, I mean, Knicks Celtics has not disappointed the last couple years. I will say that. Like, those games have been peak prime time hoops. Like, those are the games that you always want to be in tune for. I mean, just these last couple years, we had what? The Fournier 41 ball.
What?
We had the
RG
Kemba
game winner, the overtime game.
We had the Kemba revival game in Boston on NBA TV
We
last
lost the game,
year.
though, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we lost that game. The 48-41 game, the season opener, double overtime.
Mhm.
Freaking lost my voice that night.
Were you at that game?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
there. I was like
That's
screaming
awesome.
at the top of my lungs
That's so
after
cool.
every single Fournier and Randall play. But yeah, I mean, these two teams, I don't know what it is, but it would be a very interesting playoff series. I would say that.
I'm gonna push back a little bit there. We would get absolutely destroyed by them in the playoffs.
We would win one game. We would win one game. There's gonna be one game where like Julius hits like 8 threes or whatever with his variance, and then we would absolutely lose the next two.
There's just too much. There's too much exploitable about the Knicks right now that Tibbs won't change, and that a smart team like the Celtics will attack.
Well, their coach is telling their players they love them after they miss free throws. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We got the hard ass Thibs, so I don't know.
You're not
Might
wrong.
work out for us.
I just think that the whole like 48 minutes of room protection thing wouldn't work out in a playoff series against the Celtics.
Yeah, probably not because they have Horford and stuff, and Horford has these weird stretches where his PEDs kick in and he's able to hit like 5 threes and do all this extra shit in the paint and stuff like that. So,
man, I can't. What a game by the Knicks! Like first of all, going down 15 in the first quarter, that was bad enough. But then after the collapse, they go down 5 in overtime. I was sure it was done then.
yeah, once they went down 5 in overtime, I tweeted out, I was like, this game's over.
Yeah,
I was like, this game's over. That's it.
what an awesome performance. I hope they're psyched, and I hope it builds some momentum for them.
Let's see what other comments we got here. Sarah Pickering brings up Grimes missing shots. He said, "Can't wait till he hits those again." Definitely agree with that. Christopher Vieira also brings up RJ's defense. We had spoken about that.
Oh, Vivek brings up a good point. Do you think Julius Randle might break the 3-point record for the Knicks?
Wow, how many did Fournier last year?
241.
So he's hitting like 3 a game over a full season.
What's he at right now?
I think after this game, he's at. I can check. He hit 5 tonight, right?
I believe so.
He hit 5 tonight. So he's at. He's at 136 with 32 games to play.
Let's go on a crazy heater.
I mean that's what.
How many games do we have to play? 32.
32, yes.
And he has how many?
105, if I'm doing my math right.
So he has to hit over 3 in a game, assuming he doesn't miss a game.
And he probably, I mean, I could take the bet he won't miss a game.
Right. So he has to hit like 4 a game.
Yeah.
That's tough. I don't think that's happening.
Okay, yeah. So let's see. 136. So I'm pretty sure the record was 241. Just double checking to make sure. It was in fact 241. So 136. Yeah. So 105. 105 divided by 3. 35.
It's 35 exactly.
Yeah. So you'd have to hit. The thing is that if he hits like 5 threes, that's 2 games worth. I if you gave me like plus 300 odds, I'd take it.
It's ballsy. It'd be cool to see.
I might take it.
I mean, he's launching right now. How many did he shoot tonight?
13.
Sheesh.
Man, that's crazy.
He shot like 12 last game.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, he's gonna put up like 10 threes a game regularly. If he hits 3 of them, like he's hitting it.
That's just wild.
I would probably take that. I think he's gonna at least hit 200. So, barring injury.
This is just a travesty. We have to put up with Tyrese taking his victory laps on a nightly occurrence. Like it's just. I didn't sign up for this.
I am always right. Y'all need to understand it. Y'all need to embrace it. Love it. Randall Cohen's going up. The jersey is on. I'm getting a Brunson jersey next. I told you about Jalen Brunson when Schwinn wanted to be on the pod and berate me and tell me that Jalen Brunson wasn't him, and now he's in Discord singing his praises. Every time I tell you something, just treat it as gospel. I'm right.
Anyways, JL says Jaylen Brown missing both free throws was so refreshing. We never get that type of clutch time luck. That is a fact. Oh my gosh. We absolutely never get that type of clutch time luck. I mean, the direct opposite of this was Luka missing the free throw, getting his own miss, and putting it back up in what was probably the most embarrassing loss of like Knicks' recent history of like the last 10 years or so, I would say.
Easy.
But yeah, we never get this type of luck. So Jaylen Brown missing both free throws. When I saw it, I just had to laugh because I was like, this never happens to us. And Jaylen Brown of all people, I think within the Celtics fan base, it's something that's common that he misses free throws, I guess. But I had no idea because I don't watch Celtics games. So that to me was just hilarious.
He has a very nerve-wracking free throw motion. Have you noticed his arm is shaking on the way up? It's
he looked really nervous tonight when he was shooting them. I was just like, oh, I guess the lights were way too bright. TNT lights.
The whole
way too bright.
My little brother went to the University of Alabama, and so they've had a nice, 10-year college football run or 15 years under Saban. He sent me some stat a few weeks ago that over some time period, I don't know if it's in the Saban era or in the last 5 years, whatever, kickers facing Bama in the last 2 minutes of games are 12 for 14 on kicks over 45 yards, and then they're 2 for 10 or 2 for basically they hit all of them against Bama and hit none of them against other teams. And my response to that was that's the Knicks. It just seems when something can go wrong late in the game, it always goes wrong for the Knicks. And then you watch all these other games, and it's oh, they do bad stuff versus other teams all the time. Can't we just get a fragment of that luck? And tonight we got it. And I agree with JL. We should be thankful.
Definitely.
Not to mention, those are the only 2 free throws he missed all night. He was 5 for 5 before that.
Right, so he was due.
Thank God.
Oh, good question from Christopher Vieira here. Do y'all think the lack of ball movement with the starters has negatively impacted Grimes' shooting? It feels like he is often not involved much. They don't use him as a movement shooter.
100%. 100%. But also,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was saying also he needs to maximize his opportunities. So he still took 9 shots tonight and 7 threes. You need to be able to capitalize on those opportunities.
I agree with you, by the way, but that's a good ratio. You said 9 shots, 7 threes.
Oh, it was 7 shots and 6 threes.
Oh, okay. Well, It's a good ratio. I want him to shoot more though. He shouldn't only shoot 7 times in 40 minutes.
And he absolutely passed up a couple shots. Like he could have had 10 tonight.
Yep, that's a good point. I do think he's just struggling with the whole thing, like because he definitely still wants to do more. Like I feel like almost Grimes doesn't see himself as just a shooter. He wants to show that he can be more. And so
he's like, look at all the stuff I worked on in the offseason.
Exactly. And so that's cool when he's consistently getting touches. Like you see it versus bad teams. He gets his hands on the ball all the time. The other team's making mistakes. Grimes gets opportunities more frequently. So it's okay that he's passing up shots. But against a team like the Celtics, he just needs to pull when he gets an opportunity. That's his job. That's what he's got to do. And when a team like the Celtics is making mistakes less frequently, Grimes is going to go minutes between touching the ball. That's just the nature of the beast. We're going to ISO more. We're going to run it through Brunson and Randall more. And he's never really done that in his entire life. So whether it's affecting him or not, and I believe it is to Christopher's point, he's just got to get better at it because it's basketball. Not everybody can be a high-usage player. NBA basketball, there's a pecking order. Guy like Shane Battier spent 3 years on the Heat only touching the ball when LeBron said, okay, it's your time to shoot the ball, and Battier shot 40% from 3 all the time. You know, like I'm not saying that's all Grimes can be, but on this team, that's what they need him to be, and he needs to get better at it. And I think
Shane
he will.
Battier, man, he was so annoying. Oh my gosh,
his shooting motion, he was always falling down.
I remember those display. One of Amari Stoudemire's best moments as a Knick. Battier flops. Stoudemire goes down to reach out his hand to like pull him up. And Battier reaches for it, and then Stoudemire just immediately pulls it away and walks away. Like, get the hell out of here, man. He was so annoying, Battier. Ugh, those Heat Knicks matchups, hated them.
Yeah.
LeBron running to like a Tyson Chandler screen and flopping. Classic.
That's the moment my LeBron hate was like
peak.
It was peak at that moment. It was just like, all right, enough of the BS, man.
I gotta be honest, I still am convinced, and it's probably the most irrational I am as a fan. And I know it was probably the best LeBron ever was at basketball, maybe 2018, but that 2012-2013 season with Melo surrounded by shooters and Tyson Chandler, we went 3-1 against the Heat in the regular season that year. If the Knicks don't just tank game 1 against the Pacers and take care of business, I think we would have given the Heat a hard time in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I die on that hill. I die on that hill.
They would win that game, but I don't want to talk about it.
I die on that hill all the time, man.
They had the shooting to match the Heat, and they had the size. God.
And Game 6, man. Game 6, Copeland, Shump, they showed out. Dude, it was ready. They was ready.
I was 13 years old, and I had a Facebook account dedicated to Chris Copeland, and I was literally at like 10K. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
No. 13 years old in 2013? Fuck, man. Why do you always remind me how old I am? God damn, man. That's just so mean.
I remember those days all too well. Oh, my gosh. Ace Bouchard says Thibs is to Leon what Randall is to Tyrese.
Goated.
That is a good analogy.
It's a great analogy.
Let's see what else we got here. We are probably going to end with these last couple of questions. Or not questions, but comments.
Dude, shout out to everyone. I'm just looking at it for the first time because Sam usually runs it. All these comments are amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to like pick some to like actually like
Also fuck Roy Hibbert forever and ever. He not allowed anywhere near Dykeman.
Man, they fought all the way back in that game just for Melo to get. Ugh. God, why did I bring up that game? That's
I don't. You must be a masochist.
All right, here we go. Ace Bouchard also said Thibs' defensive scheme can't work if the 5-man can't impact rim protection and drop. I can't remember the last time I saw Sims or Hart do anything at the rim and drop.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean Hart had a block today. That was pretty good. I think when I think when Brogdon or Derek White had came into the paint.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he had gotten that one block. I think that's like literally the only thing I can remember of him doing in drop. Anything else? Like Sims had a good block against Robert Williams, but like that was off of a putback attempt. But yeah, they both really haven't been that good in drop. Um, Maybe it's because we're seeing them in more time. Like we're so used to seeing them in like these limited stints that we're not used to seeing like the full reach of what they're able to do in drop. Now that they're getting a more extended run, we're seeing that they're not that capable in drop so far. So, the scheme has to switch. Um, and I think someone like Sims is capable of switching. We've seen it before. So,
For sure. I thought Benji made a really good point though. And I agree with what Tyrese was saying about the offense down the stretch. Like it was a little bit more simplistic, but when the Celtics are in their bag in the middle of the game and they're running those really complicated sets, Benji pointed it out. It's a lot to ask of Sims to make like multiple off-ball switches and stuff and have that chemistry with guys he just hasn't shared the court with that much and he doesn't do it that much. That's a lot to ask a guy who previously he's basically been playing drop, 90% of the time. Sam, what you just said, in my opinion, is exactly right. I think the biggest edge Sims has over Obi right now is his ability to switch 1 through 5 and hold his own. And versus teams running more simplistic sets like the Knicks do, where it's just pure pick and roll and you can switch and you're not going to get burned too much by like off ball movement. It's not like the Warriors. The Knicks absolutely need to institute some switching and use Sims that way. I'm just not sure the Celtics were the matchup for it,
yeah.
I want to say, we talk about them all the time, so like whatever. I really was encouraged by how into the final minutes Quickly was on the bench.
Yeah.
As someone who just wants Quickly to be a Knick his whole career, it worried me how often, like his first 2 seasons when he wasn't closing games, he was just so excited to be a Knick, especially like, his rookie season. You
Mhm.
always saw him standing up with like Theo Pinson. He was always first one off the bench. He was always just so into it. And early this season, whenever they cut to the bench to get that excited reaction, he was always like seating. It's not that he wasn't excited for his team, but he was definitely less into it than he used to be. And this was like the first time in a while that I saw him like super amped and into it. And it just made me feel like, okay, this is a guy who feels embraced by his team and feels confident in his role for this team. And that was encouraging for me to see as a Knicks fan and someone who is, a Quickly fan per se.
Definitely. Last comment, Ricky Ricardo. This win just shows you how far along the Knicks have come when you compare their first game against the Celtics earlier this year. Defense was great, late offense was bad, but overall incredible win.
Yep.
I think that pretty much encapsulates our feelings. That first game against the Celtics, that was a rough one. 27 threes. It was not pretty.
And
but
they still could have won it, dude. Oh my god, I hate like that for the first like 15 games of the season. It just pissed me off, man.
Man, could they have won it? Didn't they get killed? No?
Yeah, but like they were still pretty close toward the end. I feel like at one point, thank you. I should have muted my mic. I feel like at some point they like cut it to like 5 or something. It might have been like 5 or 3, and like then the Celtics hit a 3, and the rest. But
fair enough.
All right. Shout out to everyone that pulled up. At one point, we had like 25 viewers at once. So, shout out to everyone that pulled up. Shout out to all the comments. Had a whole bunch of them. I tried to get to as many as I could. They were just flowing in. And, they really helped to guide our conversation as well. So shout out to all of y'all. Make sure y'all leave a like, subscribe. We were on our way to 1K subs. Check out everything Strickland related in the description. We got links to the site, merch, Patreon, and Twitter. All great ways to support us. We are also on Instagram at thestrick.land to get your Knicks Strickland fix on Instagram. And yeah, we will be back after the game on Saturday. Hopefully, the Knicks can finally beat the Nets in the Tom Thibodeau era. There have been a lot of streaks that we've been breaking this year. We broke the Denver streak, we broke the Toronto streak. Let's finally beat the Nets and Ben Simmons. Let's take care of two birds, one stone. Um, so we'll catch y'all after that game on Saturday. I think that is also a nationally televised game. Knicks been on national TV a lot this week for Rivals Week, so
Man,
let's-
LaMelo was 2 for 15 tonight, and
yeah,
the
he was
Bulls.
absolutely awful.
Oh my
Yep,
God.
Bulls stink. Let's go.
Yep. I think he just came back from injury, so I'll cut him some slack for tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back after the Nets game. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Everyone have a great night. The night's basically almost over, but yeah, we'll catch y'all on Saturday. Peace.